I am here to tell you that you are not behind in life. Contrary to what everything in your world is probably telling you, by the time you finish this video, you will understand just how far ahead that you probably are. It's time to stop believing the lie that you are behind. It's an easy lie to believe. I've had to catch myself and parent myself, coach myself to overcome this because it's a very stagnating mindset to have. In some cases, if you feel behind, it's almost like an elephant sitting on your chest to try to catch up. Overwhelmingly, there's a large population of people within every generation. This is not just millennials, this is not just Gen Z, but many of us just in 2024, we feel as if we're missing life's milestones and that we are late to the party. Why is it that we feel like we're supposed to have it all figured out, that we should have accomplished 90% of our life goals by the time we've hit our mid to late 20s? Did you know that research has shown that our mental sharpness peaks later in life, not in our mid and early 20s? According to an article by verywellmind.com, certain mental abilities reach their highest points at different stages in our lives. So, scientifically, we don't even mentally have it all together in our 20s. So, how and why are we expecting ourselves to accomplish everything or most milestones by that time? It's not even psychologically, physically, biologically possible to do that. If you have been ruminating on your perceived lack of progress, then consider this video to be a lifeline towards change and giving yourself well-deserved grace. Let's stop and think about this for a minute. Have you ever taken the time to ask yourself, why do you think you're in a race? Why? Where are you going? And who exactly are you trying to keep up with? I mean, last I checked, I think the Joneses are long dead at this point. So, who are we keeping up with, and why do we feel the need to keep up with them? Let me ask you another question. Why haven't you embraced your timeline, your specific timeline? Think about how weird life would be if all of your peers and most people that you know that you're doing the exact same thing at the same time. Ew. I don't know. I think that's weird. That is unnatural. It is also not fun and exciting. And how can you learn from people that are just achieving the exact same thing that you are? I think that the school system, and this is not a knock on school, I'm just giving you an idea of the source of where this came from. But it's naturally built up in our minds a system of matriculation. And I've talked about this before, where we complete a grade and we go to the next grade and the next grade and the next grade. And then we graduate from middle school, then we graduate from high school, then we graduate from undergrad, then we graduate from grad school. Those are very specific milestones that we were a part of as children. We continue that matriculation mindset and those very hard milestones. And also, we are around a specific group of people when we're doing it, right? How many of us can say that we graduated and went all the way through high school with people that we met in kindergarten? A lot of us. Many of us have continued that construct after we get out of school. Not on the same trajectory anymore, but our minds still keep us there. So when we don't let go of this structure, it imprisons us to think, I've got to be doing exactly what my peers are doing because school taught me that. With so much access to people's lives, we constantly see how people are doing. There's constant reminders and notifications of inadequacy, right? Of, oh, my peer who we reached all of the school milestones with together, they're achieving this and that person's achieving that. And now I'm getting notified of their achievements. Okay. Perceptions, because we don't actually know, because, you know, social media is a highlight reel. But we're seeing it, there's more access, and we're getting reminders about it. And it also doesn't help that in 2024, we are more lonely and disconnected than ever. We are not iron sharpening iron as a community like we used to do. So, us moving into this very insular, very solo society, it puts us in our own lane, like we're in a competition, like we're in a race. I'd also like to take this from a biblical standpoint. How insulting to God to reduce his plan for your life to society standards, to man made standards. If you find yourself troubled by not measuring up to this world, then you have given humans too much power and too much credibility for your life that they don't deserve. They don't have a heaven or a hell to put you in. And we're not supposed to be conformed, right, to the patterns of this world. So to come out of this comparison trap, because that's at the root of us feeling inadequate or behind, stop mentally conforming. That change right there, when you align yourself to what God says about your life, then it's a lot harder to feel behind. There's so much that we don't have control over, and there's so much that we didn't give input to into how this world operates. I'm not talking about systems, I'm talking about nature. We didn't determine when the sun rises and sets. We didn't determine that the bark of a tree would be brown. We didn't determine the length of the seasons and the colors, the weather, oxygen, our digestive system, the way birds and eagles fly in the air. We didn't determine any of that. I'm not saying that's for you to feel hopeless, but for you to realize that you still exist in this world that you don't have a lot of control over. My favorite verse, it's also the verse that I have to constantly remind myself of, is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your paths, or in some versions, he will make your path straight. You got to trust. You got to lean. And when you are used to a life where you've built everything, you feel like you have so much control. So the fact that you're looking to the right and to the left and people seem to be surpassing you, that affects this false sense of control of this world that you have built. You are on a very specific mission. You were created for a very specific reason, and it has nothing to do with anyone else. There's influence that you have. You are salt and light to this earth, and you're supposed to implant your talents. To learn more of debunking this linear lie of matriculation that I've been talking about, make sure you check out my video, The American Dream is a Nightmare. Let me leave you with this. I want to give you a couple of examples of people who became successful in their mid to later years. Samuel L. Jackson, his career really took off after Pulp Fiction, and at that point, he was 46 years old. Ray Kroc, who purchased the rights to McDonald's after he turned 50 and turned it into a global conglomerate. Stan Lee, we all know him as the comic book creator responsible for the Marvelverse. His career didn't take off until he was almost 40 with the release of the Fantastic Four. Nelson Mandela became the first black head of state in South Africa in his mid-70s, and this is after spending 27 years imprisoned. So what does that tell you? After a hard, dark time, and even later in his life, he achieved something really great that changed the course of history. So I pose that same thing to you. If you're in a dark time right now, or a time where you feel imprisoned, stuck, like there's a wall you can't climb over or can't get through, there is still life for you on the other side of that. And as you can see, Nelson Mandela's journey didn't look like anybody else's, so yours won't either. One of his famous quotes that is befitting to this topic is, "Don't judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up." Need I say more? So I hope this video helped you to see that you don't have to be imprisoned by the lie that you are behind in life. Give yourself the grace to explore and reach your highest and fullest potential to the max, no matter what the world around you is doing. Honestly, it's irrelevant. If you don't know where to start in terms of defining success for yourself and creating a personalized success plan, then I invite you to check out my course, Developing Your Success Factor, which gives you the best launching point to stir this up in your life. My final question to you is, Will you see yourself as being right on time instead of being behind? Let me know how you'll do this in the comments. Make sure you like the video, share it with other people that you've been commiserating with about this, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.